the OMFL. I am your host, the coach, the commish, Coach Nate. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry that we haven't had an update here in a little bit. Life is busy and there's tons of stuff going on, and you guys are absolute manimal savages getting these games done quicker than I can keep up. I haven't even had a chance to play my Week 4 game, but did want to take a moment, catch you up for Week 2 and Week 3 here in the OMFL for the Arizona Cardinals. It has been a rough season so far, and I want to show you a couple of stats here and a couple of games. Week 2, we faced the Minnesota Vikings, and they absolutely demolished us 27-6. Not going to talk a whole ton about this game. I think the stats will kind of tell exactly what took place. Garoppolo has not been playing well and was absolutely demolished this game. Now, Steve and I did have to have a talk about gameplay and play calling. I think we've mentioned this on the Press Pass Live episodes, and we're going to do a rules episode here in the next week or so, where I do an episode and just cover the rules again and the heart behind the rules, just to keep everybody on the same page. But we do need to watch closed formations and some other things that Steve and I just had a conversation with, and we're going to still follow up a conversation between each other. But you know what? He played well. His team is really, really good, and he broke some really nice runs, opened up the passing attack, and there really wasn't anything that he couldn't do. He harassed me on defense. He harassed me on offense. He just put the screws to me, and I was waving the white flag early in the second half, and he backed off. He just played a complete game, and I did not play well at all and turned the ball over way too many times, and honestly just gave up too much pressure and didn't get any pressure myself. So that was Week 2. The Vikings went and beat up on the Arizona Cardinals. Moving over to Week 3, the Chicago Bears came to town. We actually started this season off with 3 back-to-back home games. That usually means that late in the season we're going to have a bunch of away games. So Chicago Bears came to town, and we had a tight game that went into overtime. The Chicago Bears made me earn every bit, and again, pointed out every deficit that is my team. He did have 6 sacks on the day. He was constantly harassing me immediately after the snap of the ball. He didn't always play D-line, but when he did, he was immediately in the backfield within half of a second. Garoppolo just had 0 time, and because of that, turned the ball over a lot, throwing 3 more interceptions. We'll look at his stats a little later, but he has 8 interceptions, only 1 touchdown in the year. Not a good start for Jimmy G. Johnson was shut down all day. Again, the Bears were in the backfield immediately at the snap of the ball, forcing us to make some changes this week as we go get ready for the Rams and Donald, who's always given us a headache. But Levels played extremely well for them, 20 of 32 for 333, did not turn the ball over. They did ended up having 4 fumbles on the day. The Arizona Cardinal defense was laying the wood, and that was the only reason that we actually stayed in this game. Jeffries and White each had well over 100 yards, and they just played really, really well. There's a bunch of lob balls this game, and their big, tall receivers just went up and got the ball and made plays for them, and it really paid off. It was this defense, though, for the Chicago Bears that shined. Callahan had 2 interceptions. Hudson Carson had 1 interception. You'll see 2 sacks from McAfee, 2 sacks from Floyd, 1 from Patrick, 1 from Jutton, and 1 from Whittington. These guys just harassed Garoppolo all single day and had no running lanes for David Johnson to absolutely find any kind of rushing game. Floyd had a good game for us, 8 receptions, 154. A lot of that came on some really quick passes because there was just no time to sit in the back and let things really develop. But we were able to spread the ball around a little bit and have Floyd make plays for us, but no touchdowns on the day for anyone other than David Johnson. And then a bunch of field goals from Hopkins, including the game winner in overtime. On defense, Patrick Peterson had a decent day with 7 tackles. Smart played well. He had a forced fumble, a sack, and 2 tackles. But it was Eric Reed who had 3 forced fumbles. Williamson had 2 forced fumbles. These guys were laying the wood, making plays. Out of those 6 forced fumbles, 4 of them were actually recovered by the Cardinals. And that was the only reason we were able to keep this close. The Bears really dominated us from start to finish, and we were lucky to escape in overtime with a victory. And we just have not played well. Just looking at some stats so far, we're 26th in points at 15 points a game, 24th in yards at 314, 24th in passing yards at 218, 18th in rushing yards at 96. These numbers are slightly skewed, but not by a lot, just because we're one of the last games to play in Week 3. Defense, 14th in points at 20 points per game, 22nd in yards at 388, 16th in passing yards at 258, and 25th in rushing yards at 129. It's amazing how bad this defense has played. Again, those numbers are slightly skewed. The other day, I think we were second to last in yards, second to last in passing yards, and in the mid-20s in points per game. They just have not played well. And I have no explanations as to why. We're going to make some changes this week as we get ready for the Rams, trying to stir things up. We've made some changes to the offensive line. We've made some changes to the defensive backfield. We're going to move Matthew back to the back and let him make some plays at strong safety. We're going to let Williams start the cornerback opposite Patrick Peterson. And hopefully this kind of combo will help make some plays. We're going to add a little bit more speed to the cornerbacks, but allow Matthew to go out and make some plays at strong safety and use his speed and his athleticism to hopefully harass some quarterbacks. You see Jimmy G is not playing well. 60%, 719 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 sacks, 8 interceptions, 51.9 rating. It just has been no time. No rushing game for us. No time to make plays. People are playing a lot of zone so far. We've made bad reads and bad throws. David Johnson has played decent, but nothing to get excited about. My backup running back is only averaging 2.7 yards a carry. David Johnson's 4.4, which is not too bad, but he isn't taking games over. He's having to have a lot of carries and still not making a large impact. Receiving, Duncan, John Brown, and Michael Floyd are all pretty close with 12, 13, and 13, all in the mid to upper 100 yards receiving. Only 1 touchdown from John Brown this year. Bunch of drops, though, as you can see. I think we have 4, 5, 6, 7 drops already this season. This has been a rough year for us on offense. It makes no sense. Our offensive line should be dominating people. We've done nothing but add weapons such as Jeff Janis. I just don't understand. It's not making sense. And so that's why we're going to make some changes and see if that helps anything. Patrick Peterson, 12 tackles, but isn't making any plays at cornerback with the interceptions or even knocking passes down. It's been very discouraging and frustrating all at the same time. Xavier Gooden is not getting after the quarterback and not really making any plays in the passing game. He does have 6 tackles. Eric Reed did play really well last week with the 3 forced fumbles. He's got 1 other in 1 other game, so 4 in the year has really been nice. Avery Williamson's doing okay. Only 6 tackles, though. 2 forced fumbles is really nice to have. Ruben Smart's playing decent, but he only has 2 sacks. Again, not putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, not flying to the ball, not making plays, giving up big, huge, gashing runs, and then having no pressure on the quarterback, which ends up giving them a lot of high percentage throws, and quarterbacks are just tearing us apart. On offense, we're just struggling to find any consistency. There's been no time, no rushing lanes, and it has just been a struggle from start to finish. I know we're sitting at 2-1, which is a very skewed 2-1. Really going to have to rebound this week against the Rams. They're always a divisional foe who gives us tons of trouble. Again, we've made some changes. We've hit the practice field. We've been working on some things, and hopefully things will begin to turn around for us, because this season can spiral out of control before we know it. So thank you for tuning in to Arizona Central. That is a look at weeks 2 and 3 against the Vikings and against the Browns. Tune in next week as we have the Los Angeles Rams that we're going to go visit and see what happens with them. They are playing red hat football right now, and they're going to be a really tough game to come away with a victory. We're going to have to earn that one. So until next week, we'll see you for Press Pass Live. That'll come out later this week, and hopefully a hot seat. These have been really busy, but hopefully we'll knock that out here soon. Until next time, we'll see you, fellas. Peace out.